So today I'm coming to you from my stairs because I'm struggling to find a good place in my house that has decent lighting today. I want to talk more about herbs. And this seems like kind of a funny place to be doing it, but whatever. It's allergy season. So today I specifically wanted to talk about what you can do herbally to help with allergies and allergy symptoms. Now, if you suffer from seasonal allergies, I bet you get really sick of using the over-the-counter drugs that knock you on your butt every time you take them. I know I don't often suffer from seasonal allergies, but occasionally there is something that will kick up in the air that will get me. And I always feel like I have to take something out. I'm completely miserable and I refuse to take anything that's gonna just knock me unconscious. So today I want to talk to you about my 10 favorite herbs that I use for seasonal allergies. And I also just want to talk, before we get to those, a little bit about allergies to begin with. Nothing crazy. I just want to give you a few definitions that will then help you understand why I'm choosing the herbs that I'm choosing. The first definition I want to give you is antihistamine, which is probably a term you've heard quite a bit if you've suffered from allergies or you've gone to the allergy section of your grocery store's pharmacy. Histamines are compounds in our body that are part of our immune response, but they're what causes like fever and the watery eyes and the itchy throat and the cough, the sneezing, all that stuff that we don't like. So when you take an antihistamine, essentially what that antihistamine is doing is sort of shutting down the histamines that are causing those symptoms. The next term I want to discuss is anti-inflammatory. Now, when you think of inflammation, what you should be thinking of is like redness or swelling or heat associated with some sort of like aggravation, inflammation. There's something going on and your body is reacting badly to it, right? It's turning red, it's getting hot, itchy, painful, that kind of thing. That's inflammation. So anything that's anti-inflammatory is either calming down those symptoms themselves, so maybe soothing the redness or the itchiness or relieving the pain, or it's actually sort of blocking whatever compounds are causing the inflammation to begin with. The next term is bronchodilator. Now, a bronchodilator is something that sort of takes those little airways in your lungs. Kind of feel like I could use some right now. But anyways, it opens up the little airways in your lungs, making breathing easier. Next is expectorant, which you're probably familiar with because oftentimes we take expectorants during cold and flu season when we get all congested, because an expectorant sort of, like loosens the mucus, maybe makes it a little waterier. It liquefies it, whatever term you want. It allows your body to sort of get rid of the mucus, right? Makes it less sticky, lets the mucus go so that your body can be clear and you can breathe. And the last term I'm just going to mention, it's only going to come up briefly in my list of items, and that is immunotherapy. Immunotherapy means sort of like exposing your body to like a little bit of a substance so that you build sort of a resistance to it so that it doesn't cause an allergic reaction. That is sort of the concept of allergy shots. Like if you were one of those kids that got allergy shots every week, that's what was in the allergy shot, was just a little bit of whatever it is you're allergic to so that you build your response and you react less when you come in contact with that thing, that substance. So now that we know everything that we need to know, all the definitions that we need to know, we are going to get into my 10 favorite herbs for allergies and why. Like, what role do they play? Let me be clear before we get into these herbs that I am talking seasonal allergies. I'm not talking about food allergies, and I'm not talking about severe like anaphylactic allergy. Those require 911. These are just herbs that help relieve the symptoms of seasonal allergies. And my number one herb for allergies is my number one herb ever, and that's chamomile. Chamomile acts as an antihistamine so that it blocks the histamine, so it stops your body's reaction. It kind of stops that sneezing, the runny eyes, the scratchy throat. It sort of helps shut all that down, calm it down, stop that allergic reaction. Second herb is echinacea. Now, most people are familiar with echinacea because we use it a lot in cold and flu remedies, because it is not only good for your immune system in that sort of broad helping you fight things off, it also is an antihistamine, so it helps stop that allergic reaction from happening. And if I say it helps stop, right? Keep in mind, none of these are miracle cures. It helps alleviate. How's that? It helps alleviate symptoms. It's probably none of these herbs are going to out and outright just shut allergies down. They're just going to help make them manageable. Number 3 is eucalyptus. Now, eucalyptus, I wouldn't put eucalyptus in a tea, but you tend to like breathe eucalyptus. Eucalyptus in like an essential oil in a diffuser, or even like I've seen soaps that have eucalyptus in them so you get the smell. I've seen people take like fresh eucalyptus plants and hang them in their shower so that the steam and the eucalyptus, because it's a bronchodilator, it opens up the airways to help you breathe. So if you are suffering from seasonal allergies or have a cold or a flu where you're all congested and you can't breathe well, a bronchodilator will help open it up. Number 4 is garlic, because it is an antihistamine, so it's going to help shut down some of those symptoms, but it's also an expectorant, so it's going to help thin the mucus so that you can clear your sinuses, so that you can cough it out of your lungs, and therefore you'll be able to breathe a little bit better. Number 5, again, one of my favorites that I just recently talked about, and that is ginger. Ginger is an antihistamine. It's a bronchodilator, so it's going to open up the lungs, and it's also an expectorant, so it's going to thin the mucus, again, helping you breathe. Number 6 might surprise you, and it's goldenrod. Now, a lot of people confuse goldenrod and ragweed, and they think they're the same thing, and they're not. Many people have ragweed allergies, much less so do people have goldenrod allergies. However, like I've said in previous videos, everybody has the possibility of being allergic to anything. So who knows? So if you're going to try goldenrod, start small. Make sure you don't have any sort of like crazy seasonal allergy to it. And if you don't and you react good, maybe try taking a little bit more. I simply go out and harvest some when it's like nice bright flowers, just like not old flowers, so right when it's in season and pops up that bright pretty yellow. Cut some off. I include a few of the leaves as well, and then once I just sort of set it in, let it dry, and then chop it up, add just a little bit to a tea. Goldenrod is an antihistamine, and it's also like specifically good at drying like watery eyes. So if you tend to get like, you know, your eyes are always weeping when you have the seasonal allergies, try just a little bit of goldenrod in your tea and see how it works. Number 7 is horseradish, which you can probably guess it's an expectorant. It's hot and fiery and spicy, so when you eat it, it's going to like let your nose run, right? The mucus is going to thin, you're going to blow your nose, you're going to feel better because you can breathe better. Next is licorice root. Licorice root is anti-inflammatory and it is an expectorant. Next is peppermint, which is a bronchodilator. It actually just opens things up. And I will get in a little bit further along. I'll mention how I like to take peppermint and the way I like to do it. So not only like I think a bronchodilator specific to the lungs, it can open up your sinuses as well. Everything opens and you can suddenly breathe. It's a miracle. And lastly is rosemary. Rosemary is anti-inflammatory and it's also an expectorant, again, thinning the mucus, allowing you to breathe a little easier. And so I want to make a little note here on both licorice root and peppermint. They both have cautions that I want to make you aware of. Now, like I've said before, every herb can have issues. Too much of any herb is not going to be a good thing, and we always have the possibility of being allergic to anything. But licorice root specifically, I want to mention because licorice root has the potential to raise your blood pressure. So if you are someone who suffers from high blood pressure, licorice root should really be avoided. Try one of the other ones, just ignore licorice root. I am one of those people. I cannot take licorice root. It just, my blood pressure does bad things, so whatever. So if you do, or if you think maybe you're on the cusp and you're not really sure, talk to your doctor about it, or again, just avoid it, try something different. And the other thing, while I love peppermint in certain ways, I do have to make a note that ingesting it, whether it's peppermint tea or ingesting peppermint oil, you have to be careful if you have acid reflux or GERD, or whatever you want to call it. If you suffer from that routinely, I'm not just talking about you get heartburn every once in a while, but if you have like consistent issues, if you have to take Prilosec because you have things going on, then you should not ingest peppermint, because peppermint actually relaxes the esophageal sphincter and allows acid to come up into your esophagus a little easier. So again, if you have issues with heartburn, avoid peppermint. You can use spearmint. It is not quite as strong, but it also doesn't cause that issue. So, or just try something completely different. I find that people make this assumption that just because herbs are natural, that they can take whatever herb they want and as much as they want, and that is not the case. Herbs are powerful medicine, so you must always use caution, especially if you have any sort of underlying medical condition. Now, that being said, I want to move on to two additional sort of bonus things, because they're not really herbs, but pretty much every herbalist I know has these in their apothecary. Number one would be green tea. Just about every form of green tea out there has some sort of antihistamine type quality. So if you are making seasonal allergy teas, making them with a green tea base, so taking green tea and then just adding herbs to it, is a wonderful idea. And the second one, of course, not an herb, but definitely an herbalist's best friend, is honey. And this is where the immunotherapy word comes in. And this is like one of those things that some people feel it's true, some people say it's not. And that is that having local honey can sort of give you that immunotherapy, expose you to local pollens so that your body can build resistance. Now, again, I've definitely heard people tout this as being very true, and I've heard people, very reputable people, say they don't think it really works that way because the pollens that are in the honey tend not to be the pollens that cause allergies to begin with, and I can understand that to be true. However, if there is a smidge of hope that maybe that is the case, why not? And in the end, for one, it's not going to do anything, it's not going to do harm, it's going to taste good, and even if the immunotherapy part isn't working, honey is very soothing to a scratchy throat. So if you are suffering from seasonal allergies or cold and flu, honey can still feel good and soothe things that are all fired up. I'm going to link my blog post on this in the description box below, because in my blog post, I do get into some tasty tea combinations that you might want to try. And I also talk a little bit about ways to use like horseradish and ginger and garlic to help your seasonal allergies. But right now, instead, here, I'd rather talk about how to take these herbs. For most of these, you can just make some sort of tea come up with a combination that works for you, the herbs you have. Like I said, maybe blend them with a green tea. That would be great. Add a little lemon juice, a little honey, be very soothing. It'll cure what ails you. But the other thing I wanted to mention was essential oils. Now, for most of these herbs that I mentioned, essential oils are not really a thing. Like, I know they do make chamomile essential oil, but that's not how you really would want to ever take chamomile. You'd want chamomile tea. But there are two things on my list that work really good in essential oil form. The one I mentioned previously was eucalyptus. So getting eucalyptus essential oil and diffusing that will help open up your lungs, help you breathe a little bit better during cold and flu season. Also opens up the sinuses. It's great anytime you're congested. So eucalyptus essential oil is great to have on hand. You can also get some blends, some different essential oil blends to try. But the last one that I use a lot is peppermint. I love peppermint in essential oil form. Again, I do tend to have a lot of heartburn, so I try not to ingest a lot of peppermint. Not to say that I never have a cup of peppermint tea or eat peppermint candies, and I do like peppermint flavored stuff, but I try to keep it, in reason so that I don't aggravate my heartburn. However, essential oil has a lot of great uses, specifically peppermint. Now, again, quick warning on both of those, and really any essential oil. Essential oils are extremely strong. So for one, if you get them on your hands, be wary of touching your eyes or any sensitive parts. And if you have really sensitive skin, mix it with another oil before you put it on your skin, because they can be really irritating to sensitive skin. Now, back to the peppermint. If you are really, really congested, one of my favorite ways to take peppermint oil is just to take the bottle, open it up. I just stick my thumb on top, maybe flip it upside down so you get not even like a full drop, just a little bit of oil right on your thumb. And then I open my mouth, take my thumb and stick it as far back as possible and touch the roof of your mouth as far back as possible. It's like way back. And as soon as that peppermint oil hits the roof of your mouth, you take a breath in, and it's like you make this your own diffuser. Like it goes up into your sinuses and everything just clears out. It's amazing. It's strong, but it's amazing. And then the other thing to mention is if that seems too much, even just taking a drop in your hands, rubbing them together, take your hands, cup them, and then just take like a big breath in. So you're almost like just, making like a little mask so that you can breathe in the essential oil. That again clears your lungs, clears your sinuses. It's great. It clears things up. Now again, if you have asthma or anything like that, that might be too much. So use caution, use common sense, but those are two of my favorite ways to clear my sinuses with peppermint oil. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do so that you don't miss any future videos. And if you enjoyed this one, click the like button so that YouTube knows that people are interested in content like mine. And thank you for joining me in my stairwell. Hopefully the lighting is actually as decent as it seems on the camera. I don't know, we'll see when I go to edit this video. But thanks so much. I hope you will give herbal remedies a try to alleviate your seasonal allergy symptoms. Have a great day.